We're not sure UCLA has super high expectations for their first year in the Big Ten, but they do have a secret weapon. I will tell you what that is. Plus, more trouble for Jim Harbaugh. Locked On Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. So UCLA's secret weapon, I'll tell you in just a second. Plus, more trouble for Harbaugh. This is Burgergate, not Spygate. We have to keep track of these things. Plus our Big Ten classics that we will get into. But at first glance, as we look at the upcoming season for the UCLA Bruins, I don't think we can expect a whole bunch here in their first year as they transition into the Big Ten. You know, just as they were transitioning out of the Pac-12 and into the Big Ten, Chip Kelly decided he had had enough. And all the extra stuff that coaches have to do and that they need with transfer portals and name, image, and likeness and dealing with recruits and boosters. He said, I don't want to do this anymore. So he left and he took a massive pay cut to become Ryan Day's offensive coordinator at Ohio State. In February, no less. That's a tough time to be making a coaching change. That's pretty late in the calendar. So then, in a bit of a surprise, I thought the school announced that alum and former NFL running back DeShaun Foster would be the new head coach. He was on Kelly's staff as the running backs coach. I say surprise because Foster has never been a head coach anywhere for anybody. But he did make one splashy move that got my attention right away, and probably yours too, in assembling his staff when he hired former NFL offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy to be his offensive coordinator. Now, he may prove to be the secret weapon for the Bruins this year. While Foster gets his feet wet as the head coach, Bieniemy is an unflappable coach that's seen it all. And he may prove to be a great asset as a quarterback recruiter if he stays around long enough. I don't know if this is a one-year stop for him or if he still has interest in being a head coach in the NFL or college. I don't know. But they have him right now. And I know that every kid who plays quarterback in America knows that Bieniemy was the longtime offensive coordinator for the greatest quarterback in the world, Patrick Mahomes. Every quarterback wants to be like Patrick Mahomes. So why not play for the guy that helped put his offense together and coached him? Now, there can also be a tricky part here because Bieniemy's offense is tricky. It's not simple. It's far from it. The language itself takes a long time to learn. In fact, I'm hearing that it's been taking all spring and into the summer for the offense to get used to the lingo that the Bruins are going to use on their offense. Everybody's trying to learn it. Spend a lot of time thinking and learning. You're not reacting. You're a half step slow. You know how it goes. Probably they'll get it down by the start of the season, though. Secondly, you're likely to see the Bruins do a lot of different things with Bieniemy. You won't see him in the same formation 2 plays in a row. Bieniemy can do everything. The playbook is thick. He goes with 5 wides with an empty backfield, or he'll bunch it up with 2 tight ends. He will have a fullback at his disposal. He'll do some zone blocking, RPOs, everything in between. Anything you can think of, he does it. Always moving around. He likes to keep those defenses guessing. So, they react instead of, or they're thinking too, what's going on instead of just reacting as well. It could be an advantage for the offense if they got the defense playing back on their heels. So if you're an everydayer right here on Locked On Big Ten, you know that we think you have to play defense to win in the Big Ten. So let's talk defense for just a moment. Pac-12 teams historically are not known for defense, but Oregon and yes, UCLA can play defense. They can play defense. The problem for UCLA is that the mastermind of that defense, Danton Lynn, he got poached by crosstown rival USC. He now works for Lincoln Riley for the Trojans. We talked about them yesterday. By the way, if you missed yesterday's podcast, check it out. You can find it on our website, talkbig10.com. You can see the scroll here on the bottom if you're watching on video. But with Lynn gone and going to the cross rivals, to make matters worse, Lynn took a couple of his better players, defensive backs, from UCLA to USC in the transfer portal. Talking about John Humphrey and Kamari Ramsey. In fact, for one reason or another, whether it be NFL, attrition, transfer portal, 8 of the 11 starters for UCLA last season in that good defense, they're gone. One player that is returning to their base 4-2-5 defense that they like to run is linebacker Kane Medrano. He's pretty good, so he's coming back. Jalen Davies is the lone returning starter corner. Devin Kirkwood should be back, and he'll bump back up into the starting lineup. And also they got a couple of Power 5 transfers that should start at safety in KJ Wallace. He comes from Georgia Tech. And Ramon Henderson coming in from Notre Dame. So there are some pieces here. But still, overall, I think the talent is depleted on both sides of the ball. That will be an issue and a challenge for UCLA. Because let's face it, former coach Chip Kelly didn't really tear it up. If you like to rank recruiting and what school does what each and every year, Chip Kelly really didn't tear it up in the recruiting trail the past 5 seasons. And the booster development for the name, image, and likeness is well behind pace of other schools in the Big Ten. So they got some work to do. So you would think that, a school that's based in Southern California with all the high schools and all the high school talent around there and all the rich people in Southern California, you think recruiting and money, those would not be problems at UCLA. But the truth is, those are problems at UCLA. I used to live in LA for 10 years. I get it. I watched this program up close. Back to Bieniemy and the UCLA offense, though, for a moment. The bright spot, if you will. Last year, there was excitement around 5-star quarterback recruit Dante Moore. He started well enough in the first few games, but then he kind of fell off a little bit and wasn't that great. But now he's out, and he's backing up Dylan Gabriel at Oregon. Still plenty of talent. Ethan Garbers came in, tried to stop the bleeding at quarterback last year. Turned out to be okay. In fact, he completed 67% of his passes. That's very good. That's better than okay. He'll be this year's starter. At running back, the powerful Carson Steele. He is off to the NFL, but the more shifty TJ Harden, he'll be back. A little more explosive on the outside. He expects a much bigger workload this year. Not going to share the duties as much. And then at receiver, at slot, Logan Loya returns. That's good because he led the team in all major receiving stats last year. And Rico Flores transferred in from Notre Dame. And the team has some pretty high hopes for a young J. Michael Sturdivant. So, again, like the defense, on the offense, there are some pieces. Now, some good news, bad news. The offensive line has 4 starters returning. But that unit really struggled last year. I mean, I don't know. Good news, bad news here. They ranked 118th in the country in pass protection. They did hold up better against the run. Pass protection needs a lot of help. So anyway, a lot of work to do. Interesting games on the schedule. They open up at Hawaii. A winnable game. They got a bye week. They started with Indiana at the Rose Bowl. Got a tough stretch there. They've got LSU. They've got Oregon before they get to the latter part of the schedule at Washington, USC, and closing out at Fresno. I think overall, if I'm going to be honest, 3, 4, if they get 5, that's a good year. If they get 5 W's, that's a good year. I don't know. Let me go back to that middle stretch of that. So Hawaii and Indiana, you can win 2, right? At LSU's probably a loss. Oregon's a loss. At Penn State. Those are 3 games in a row. LSU, Oregon, and Penn State. They're not going to win those games. That's tough. That's tough. Even the most optimistic outlook, that's tough. Then a game at home against Minnesota, that's winnable. So that's 3 wins. At Rutgers, I don't think they're going to go across the country and beat Rutgers. Rutgers is better than people think. I think you're stuck at 3. You got another bye. At Nebraska. They're not going to be at Nebraska. They're not going to win at Nebraska. Nebraska's going to be good this year. Still 3 wins. We're still at 3. You got Iowa, but it's at the Rose Bowl. I think Iowa's better than you think. It could be a 50-50 game maybe, but I'm leaning Iowa on that one. Then at Washington, I don't know what they are, but that's going to probably be tough. And then USC and Fresno, those are all tough. They could lose. They could 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They could lose their last 6. They could. Let's say they get one in there. All right, maybe it's a 4-win season. I mean, they're in transition. That's what's going on. Not a lot of expectations in the win column, but they can build on something to get something going. And again, Eric Bieniemy might not only help with some X's and O's, but he might help recruit as well. Get some special players in for the future. Anyway, let me know what you think. If you're a UCLA Bruins fan, maybe you think I'm a little too harsh. I don't know. I think it's a fair assessment. I try to be fair with everybody. If you're new, be sure to subscribe. We're making a push to 10,000 subscribers before the start of the season. We're getting close. Very excited about that. We had like 1,200 when we started last summer. So be sure to subscribe and follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcasts. And that way you get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. And don't forget, pick up some UCLA gear at our website. Talk Big Ten. See the crawl on the bottom if you're watching on YouTube. Talk Big, that's the number 10, talkbig10.com. All of our podcasts go there chronologically, and we group them by teams. This one will be grouped under UCLA, under schools. And while you're there, get yourself some shirts and hats and pennants for the upcoming 2024 season for UCLA. Talk Big 10, number 10.com. All right. We want to get into the latest because there's something every day with Michigan and the NCAA. This might not be what you thought it was. If you haven't heard, we'll have the details. We'll spell it all out. That's coming up next. And then later, our Big Ten Classics. It's all right here on Locked On Big Ten. You want to go to some games? You need tickets. Well, you can go to a Big Ten game. Maybe go to a Major League Baseball game before school gets rolling again here in the summertime. Game Time. Get the Game Time app on your phone. It makes getting tickets so easy. And, as you know, especially they got great deals with Major League Baseball. They're an official ticket marketplace for tickets from Major League Baseball right there on your phone. Or if you want to go to see your favorite Big Ten team, you know, as you get closer to first pitch in baseball, the prices actually go down a little bit. They're great deals. Great deal. Game Time's always got great deals. You can save up to 60% on buying last-minute sports, concerts, comedy, theater. If it needs a ticket, Game Time's got you covered, and it's right on your phone. I always tell you my favorite feature is you can see the view of the seat of the ticket you're about to buy right there on your phone. It's got a picture. Make up your mind. Click done. So check it out. Take all the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets or Big Ten tickets. Game Time is where you need to be. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, and the redeem code is LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, Locked On College for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Want to thank you for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen every day, especially you everydayers out there. Meanwhile, again, be sure to subscribe on YouTube, share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten wherever you catch us with your favorite podcast app. Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And go to our website, talkbig10, number 10.com. And after us, make me a second listen with Locked On College Football's podcast with Spencer McLaughlin, getting you ready for the season. Talk about everything going on with the games coming up and NIL, transfer portal, realignment, all that stuff right there on Locked On College Football. All right. So big news with Michigan, the NCAA, Jim Harbaugh. You know, we were talking about Spygate all week long, right? This is Burgergate. I know. You thought we were done with that. We did. We were done with it. It's back. The NCAA keeps coming after former Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh. They just dropped a 4-year show cause order on him for impermissible contact with recruits during a closed recruiting period during COVID-19. 3-4 years ago. You heard right. This is Burgergate from years ago, not Spygate, of which the NCAA just issued a notice of allegation this week. I thought we were talking Spygate with the notice of allegation, and yet they come down with a hammer on Burgergate. I was under the impression that Burgergate was done. It was put to bed. All parties involved. I seem to remember the NCAA and athletic director Ward Manuel saying as much months ago. In fact, if I recall, there was an actual deal reached in Burgergate where Michigan was, all right, this is over. We're on 3 years probation. We're going to be fine. There was a financial fine. There were recruiting restrictions, not reductions, but restrictions as to when they could recruit. But apparently Jim Harbaugh didn't go along with this agreement. And so the NCAA still wanted its pelt on the wall and its pound of flesh. So when I heard the 4-year show cause penalty was coming naturally, many people thought it was Spygate, but it's Burgergate. And Spygate's still out there, by the way. But at this pace, 3-4 years later, we got Burgergate, the NCAA coming down. What? We going to take care of Spygate in 2027, 2028? Are we really moving that slowly? The NCAA is ridiculous, feckless, and unorganized. And oh, by the way, slow. It's so slow. Everybody involved with this stuff is long gone and will be long gone years from now, and they make no sense to me. So what does this mean for Jim Harbaugh and Michigan? Simply put, nothing. Nothing. Less simply, here's the deal. The NCAA says that Harbaugh engaged in unethical conduct, failed to promote an atmosphere of compliance, and violated head coach obligations. Really didn't participate in their investigation. So a 4-year show cause means that if a school chooses to hire Harbaugh between now and 2028, which is highly unlikely, as you and I know, because he just signed a lucrative multi-year contract with the Chargers, Harbaugh would have to sit out that first year of the deal and serve a full-blown suspension. After that year, he would still be barred from any athletic-related activities, including team travel, practice, video study, recruiting, and team meetings until the 4-year period expires. So in short, he can't coach. Again, he's got a job. He's good. He's never coming back to college football. In fact, Harbaugh's attorney, Tom Mars, says, if I was Harbaugh, I'd just enjoy the $80 million contract I got with the Chargers and ignore the kangaroo court NCAA. Now, regarding the Spygate investigation, it's still ongoing with the NCAA. It could take several more months to conclude. Even the notice of allegations are being formed that ESPN got a hold of mysteriously this week. That was weird. So they're currently trying to make the case. According to what we know so far, Michigan coach Sherrone Moore, who replaced Jim Harbaugh, is tied to last year's Spygate scandal masterminded by former staffer Connor Stallions. And again, it's a separate story from the show cause penalty that Jim Harbaugh received this week. Staying in the state of Michigan, Detroit Lions star wideout Amon-Ra St. Brown, whose alma mater is Southern Cal, now in the Big Ten. He was asked about his school joining the Big Ten in a podcast lately with former NFLer and former Michigan Wolverine Taylor Lewin. He said he loves the move, loves the fact that USC is in the Big Ten. He says he's not worried about the Big Ten for his school. There was some playful banter going on between the players. He says he's not worried about Michigan. He says they're all done. All their talent's in the NFL. Harbaugh's gone. He says it's over. He says all Michigan does is run, pack it in the box, make them throw the ball. Harbaugh's gone. Forget it. Some people in Detroit aren't going to like, some fans of Amon-Ra in Detroit are not going to like those comments about Michigan. I'm just saying. All right, coming up, we got a peek at the weekend, and it's our Big Ten Classics, but it's more so tailored toward training camp for all of these teams. I will explain and what you can watch this weekend, your favorite team, in just 1 minute here on Locked On Big Ten. All right, let's do this here. Let's put it our weekend, our Big Ten Classics. If you're new, we always look at the classics that always air on the Big Ten Network. We are not affiliated with the Big Ten Network. We just cover the same stuff that you see there on TV. And so we like to keep track of because it's always fun going back into memory lane. And let's say you're a graduate of school and seeing an old game they played in a Rose Bowl 15 years ago. That stuff's cool. I'm going to put it on screen in case you're audio only. I'll describe what we got. We didn't put the whole schedule, but we did highlight a lot of stuff coming up this weekend. Now, instead of classics on Friday, what they're going to do here is they've been doing this. They're very good at this. I always enjoy this. They go from camp to camp and they do an hour feature on all of that. And so we're going to point some of that out here. I'm going to remove this from the screen so you can see better. There you go. So starting at 6:00 Eastern time, if you missed it earlier in the week, they're going to do their training camp report from Ohio State. Then at 7:00, they're going to do one at Maryland. See what Mike Loxley's up to, is finding a new quarterback out there. Kurt Signetti in Indiana, they'll focus on the Hoosiers at 8:00 Eastern on Friday. Again, these are repeats. They've been doing them throughout the week. If you don't catch them earlier, go ahead. But here's how we head into the weekend. They'll look at Rutgers football at 10:00 and at 11:00, a repeat of the Indiana training camp. And then on to Saturday, 2 p.m., they got a football training camp with the Washington Huskies. At 3:30, it is the Oregon Ducks that they will feature on. And at 5:00, Ohio State. And then 6 p.m., you can see Penn State. We'll flip the screen because we have more on Saturday. They'll do their report from training camp at Purdue with their visit to West Lafayette, 7:00. And then at 8:00, back to a repeat of the Indiana one. Now, let's look ahead to Sunday real quick. We do have it's not a classic, but we got a Big Ten football in 60. This is 5 a.m. You're going to have to record these for later. All right. Minnesota at Purdue from 2023. This is from last year. This was an interesting game. Not particularly good game for Ethan Kaliakmanis, the quarterback from Minnesota. And reportedly after this game, he and PJ Fleck kind of had a falling out. And that's why Kaliakmanis is now at Rutgers and PJ Fleck has a new quarterback at Minnesota. All right, at 6 a.m., by the way, Hudson Card with 251 yards in that game with 3 touchdowns, a 49-30 win for Purdue. At 6 a.m., a USC volleyball classic from 2017, USC versus UCLA, a 5-set showdown. The Trojans beat the Bruins inside of Pauley Pavilion. And at 7 a.m., again, go ahead and record these on Sunday, an Oregon volleyball classic, Stanford and Oregon from 2022. The 21st ranked Ducks upsetting the 5th ranked Cardinal in a 3-set sweep to secure their first ever 3 straight win streak over Stanford in program history. Then at 8:00 a.m., Big Ten Live, Big Ten Volleyball Media Days. Actually, and this already took place, so it's not live. So part 1, this is a several-hour block, Media Days. This is from earlier in the week. From Big Ten Media Days for volleyball. Then part 2 is later at night. If you want to catch your favorite teams there, that's at 11:00 p.m. So that's it. That's a look at kind of a different schedule from what we're used to with the Big Ten Network, but I want to point these things out. It's going to be hot and nasty out wherever you are, middle of August. Go ahead and cool off, stay inside, watch some of this on TV. I think you'll enjoy it with everything that's going on. All right. Everything that's going on here, very busy. I don't know if you noticed. Maybe you did. I don't know if you're in every day or not. If you're not, you should be. I hope you are. But we covered all 4 West Coast teams this week in depth. Started off with Oregon and USC and Washington and UCLA today. And we're excited to have them in the Big Ten. And if you're new, we're excited to have you here on Locked On Big Ten. We're here every day. Plenty of ways for you to interact with the podcast on Twitter or X at Talk Big Ten number 10. Comments on YouTube. I was reading them just before I went on. You guys are going back and forth with the rivalries. I love it. There's also our website. You see the scroll if you're watching on video on the bottom. TalkBig10 number 10.com. All of our podcasts go there. Go check out another one after this one. See what we did yesterday. Catch up on all 4 of those West Coast teams and the podcasts we did on them this week. If you missed any of them, they're all right there at your fingertips. And while you're there, you can buy merchandise from your favorite school, your favorite team, getting ready for the 2024 season. It is TalkBig10 number 10.com. After you're done with us, I always invite you to check out a second listen for Locked On College Football with Spencer McLaughlin, getting you ready for the upcoming season and talking about all the issues in college football as well, from nil to transfer portals, college football playoffs, expansion, all that stuff. It is right there. So check him out after you check out Locked On Big Ten. And tell your friends about us here at Locked On Big Ten as well. I know you know a friend who's or a family member who's an alum of a Big Ten school. Let them know we're out here. People are discovering us every day. We're thrilled by our growth, all because of you guys. So that'll do it. I appreciate the visit here today, and I can't wait till we talk again next time tomorrow. I'm Craig Sheeman for Locked On Big Ten.